Welcome back. I'm still Jacob Rees-Mogg, and this is State of the Nation. You've been getting in touch with your thoughts. Graham says, no, our future king, he is our king, not future king, should definitely not have to apologise for historical issues being outlined. Furthermore, he shouldn't do so. This whole thing is ridiculous, and as you've stated already, a previous royal did so many years ago. And Mark says, making those in the future responsible for the sins of the past is like making those in the past responsible for the sins of those in the future. It's frankly absurd and extremely lazy. The resentful have no shame regarding how they will try to undermine those who they feel resentful towards. The Metropolitan Police has announced that it will be using facial recognition during the coronation celebrations to monitor the faces of those who would raise public protection concerns. Understandably, the announcement created a backlash with people comparing the new technology to that of communist China. Although the Metropolitan Police has assured the public that the technology will only be used to focus on those who are wanted for offences or are under offender management programmes. Now, you may not already know this, but facial recognition is used to police protests, busy events, festivals, busy shopping streets, and strangely, even the seaside. So smile, you may be on camera. I'm very pleased to be joined by Silkie Carlo of Big Brother Watch. Silkie, how worried should we be about this, or considering the security risks around the coronation, isn't it quite a sensible thing to be doing?
We should be incredibly worried about this. I mean, of course, I think we'll all be expecting there to be effective policing over the weekend, and I don't think anyone would underestimate the challenges. But the problem with live facial recognition surveillance is not only is it dangerously authoritarian, and the kind of thing, as you rightly say, that you see in communist China, but it's also dangerously inaccurate. The Metropolitan Police's facial recognition flags have been 86% inaccurate since they started using the tech. So what we'll see is a wasting of police resources, whilst also turning London on what should be a very important day into something that looks more like Beijing.
But we were sitting here on Tuesday night and a problem arose. It turned out not to be that serious in the end, but the police have to be on very high alert, and behind me a group of very nice people full of enthusiasm for the coming coronation. Isn't it sensible for the police to be able to pluck one of them out who may be dangerous?
Well, that kind of policing will be happening in advance of the event, no doubt. But as I say, this is an inaccurate mass surveillance tool. It really is the kind of thing that would make Orwell roll in his grave. And unfortunately, the government has allowed this to go on for far too long. In fact, the Home Office has given funding to the Metropolitan Police to be using this technology. And I think a lot of people's experience of CCTV is that even if you're a victim of a crime and there's lots of CCTV in an area, often you don't get the kind of policing response that you would expect. And yet millions of pounds are being spent on high technology that's very dystopian, very intrusive, that means that all of the hundreds of thousands of people that will be going out on the weekends will effectively be being put in a high-tech police lineup. Now, if this event were happening in Russia, you might not be surprised. If it were happening in China, you might not be surprised. It's happening in England. It's happening in London, in what is supposed to be the heart of our democracy.
But isn't it already happening with automatic number plate recognition, that they know we're driving in our cars already and that's just been established and accepted? Isn't facial recognition a little small step once you've done that? And that if we need to campaign for liberty, we've got to roll the state back quite a long way?
You've raised a very good point, Jacob, and I hope you raise it in Parliament as well, because you're absolutely right. We are becoming a surveillance state. And increasingly, we are being watched and tracked where we go, from our phones to cameras, number plate recognition, as you say. But live facial recognition is really light years away from anything else, because it takes biometric data. That's body data. It's the same sensitivity as checking your passport. So hundreds of thousands of people will basically be going through an identity check. It's a very important principle in the UK that a police officer cannot ask for your identity unless you have done something wrong. And this technology flips that position on its head.